everybody doing today? Isn't it nice to be under the roof, getting a little weather up in the area of life? Thank you guys so much for having me up here. I've always wanted to come to Equine Fair, and it's a dream come true to be here teaching you. Before we even get started, I gotta ask you guys a question. Where did the horse go whenever he lost his tail? To the retail store. Okay, dad jokes are my thing, I kinda like that, I don't know. All right guys, so this is one of my favorite topics. I think it's not talked about much, but it's what to do with those hot, sensitive, spicy horses. When I first decided, I actually went to Road to the Horse. I was born and raised in Pasofinos, showing and competing at the highest levels. If you don't know, Pasofinos are a gaited horse. They're built for endurance up and down the mountains. They're one of the hottest breeds you can imagine. Okay, they're just built to go, 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 similar to an Arabian. And I went to Road to the Horse and I saw some colts being started, and the world stood still, and I knew exactly what I was born for. I wanted to be the world's best colt starter and a famous clinician, so I can go around and help people, educate people how to work with their horse. First thought is, I want to be a famous clinician. Second thought, how in the hell am I going to be a famous clinician? I come from a breed nobody's ever heard of. All those guys come from quarter horses. Nobody's ever heard of a Paso. So I thought the Pasofino was going to be my biggest curse. Well, as the years passed by, I figured out that the Pasofino, coming from a hot horse, has been my biggest blessing. Because our horses, all the educators in the equine community and the horse industry, the famous ones, the ones that have written the books and put out the videos and the knowledge for you guys, they all come from cold horses. And the punchline of any system that's out there, the punchline is to wear them out to get what you want. I went and studied at the School of Equestrian Art in Spain, doing dressage with Olympic champions. And at the end of the day, it was, hey, let's long line them, rig them, and let's wear them down to get what we want. And then with my natural horsemanship mentors, it's, hey, let's round pen as the first step. So let's get in there and let's run them around this round pen until they look at us, which again, warming them up, wearing them down, whatever you want to call it, it's wear them down to get what you want. So many times when we have horses that are hot and sensitive, that they're Arabians or saddlebreds or Pasos, or shoot, even a quarter horse like this that's a little sensitive, we feel like we're retarded. We're doing everything that the book tells us to do, and I've been in this position. Man, I'm doing everything the famous guy told me to do, and my horse still won't do it. For us, for the Pasofinos growing up, if we tried to wear them out to get what we wanted, by the end of the week, they would wear us out trying to wear them out. They would just do hot laps around you inside the round pen and look at you like you're dumb whenever you try to get them to stop. They didn't care. It's like trying to wear out a marathon runner by telling him to run a lap. He'll laugh at you as he runs the lap because he likes to run. So we're going to take some of the myths away from hot, sensitive horses. So right here, we have Miss Sarah. Miss Sarah has an 8-year-old quarter horse, and his name is Cherry. Okay, so Chi here is hot and spastic, can't stand still, reared up on a different instructor. One of the biggest myths, one of the biggest things I see, I have been blessed to get to work 300 or 400 horses a year. And every weekend, we're at a different clinic working another 20 horses. And most of them are hot. Most of them, because we're the folks you call in whenever you have a hot, explosive horse. The biggest problem that we have is when a horse is very sensitive, we treat them like they're sensitive. If you act careful around a horse, you're creating a horse that you'll always have to act careful around. So when a horse is giving you energy, our natural reaction is to shut down, and their natural reaction is to explode, to give you energy to run. So we have to change that. So what I'm going to do with Chi here is I am going to push his buttons, and I'm going to start challenging him for him to freeze and for me to get proactive. So it's going to sound a little contrary to popular belief, but when he gets excited, I'm going to increase my energy level for him to get calm and quiet instead of doing the opposite. My little Arabian or Paso or saddlebred or hot quarter horse or off the track thoroughbred, they start getting spunky and spastic, and the person gets real quiet. Well, guess what? They just got their release. They said, oh, if I act spunky and spastic, you'll leave me alone. You'll stop doing what you're doing. You'll stop spraying the fly spray. You'll stop washing me with the hose. You'll stop kicking me to go forward. We're going to do the opposite of that, and we're going to increase our energy. So I'm going to take Chi here in hand, and we're just going to start from the ground. And the way that we work with every problem horse on this earth, we've been blessed in the last 4 years to go to 18 different countries, go to states all over, and work with all these problem horses. And no matter what your problem is, we're going to start in the natural horsemanship halter, because we always want to start with the simplest thing first. So if you don't mind, I'm going to take him for, feel free to get yourself a seat, and I'll call you over when we're ready.
All right, thank you.
Awesome chaps and boots, by the way. All right, So the way that we work horses is simple. Assumption is the fatherhood of error. Don't assume anything. So many people have gotten broke off their crazy Uncle Bob's horse, right? The awesome thing about horses is they are so honorable that they'll tell you exactly who they are. You just have to ask them the question. Okay? If you get surprised on a horse, you didn't ask them the question, because if you would have asked them, they would have given you the right answer. So just right here, how a horse treats you on their saddle is almost irrelevant. Okay? What I mean by that is there's no natural way for them to communicate when you're on their back. It's not natural for a predator to be on a prey animal's back if they're not eating them. How they treat you on the ground is how they feel about you. And we're going to start right here in kindergarten. Kindergarten is respect. And when a horse is just so happy and content to come inside my bubble, that's not respect. If I was the alpha mare, he wouldn't just walk into my bubble like he knows me. So why does he dare walk in my bubble here? So that's the first thing that we're going to start with. To pass kindergarten, all he has to do is stay outside of my bubble and back with no physical pressure. And we're going to do that by stopping and turning. So the awesome thing about sensitive horses is whenever they're sensitive, they also give the pressure because they're sensitive. Thank you, sir. People say, why would you stop and turn? Why would you stop and turn like that? This horse he's 8 years old. He's been walked his whole life. As soon as I start walking, he says, oh, I know what I'm doing. And he's looking over here for you, looking around, looking at the birds, It's very easy for him to get startled. I don't want him to be my pet. I want him to be my dog that does obedience, that he's right here 100% of the time looking at him. If you want to gain that horse's respect, you have to give him a reason to respect you. I want you guys to think about the 4 or 5 people in your life that you truly respect. Now, how many of them haven't given you a reason to respect them? Well, I already know the answer is 0. Because in this life, respect isn't given, it's earned. So if I was another horse out in the field, it would be kicking and biting and running into him to gain his respect. I'm a person, so I'm going to get him to back up to get his respect. Have you ever noticed you put any horse out with a new herd, the first thing they do is they come up and they smell each other, then they take off running, bucking, and kicking? People think, oh, how cute, they're playing. They're not playing. They're deciding who's on top of the totem pole. Whether it takes 20 minutes or 2 days, they keep up the squabble until they figure out who's the alpha and who's the beta. So what I want you to notice is when he came in, he couldn't stand still. He's walking all around my rider. He's dragging her around. It's like he has hot feet. But you say, hey, he's never been in an arena like this in front of 1,000 people. There's a lot to see. I don't want you guys to leave here thinking that variables don't matter. Your friend fell off. What does that have to do with you? Okay? Oh, the barn's in front of you. What does that have to do with you? Only thing that matters is that horse is giving you its respect and its undivided attention. If you have that, it's amazing how many problems disappear. Oh, you're riding a stud, he's studied. It wouldn't matter if he was giving you his undivided attention, he wouldn't be looking. Oh, the horses on the trail got out in front and my horse wants to get there. Again, if you have their undivided attention, that wouldn't matter. And the reason we start from the ground is if I can't gain this horse's respect from the ground and get his attention right here with 2 feet in the dirt, as strong and as balanced and as confident as I'm ever going to be, I'm definitely not going to get it in the saddle. So notice everything that I do, I'm going to ask nicely, give a warning, and then start putting pressure. This is a concept that a lot of people don't understand. If I can't get his attention right here, there is no magical pixie dust that's going to sprinkle out of my keister whenever I swing my leg over. Getting in the saddle will not help me, okay? I know it's funny, ain't it? I like that kid right there. He's all right. All right. All right, he stays out of my bubble. He is backing up with no physical pressure. Now we can move to first grade. I don't care if it takes 10 seconds. I don't care if it takes an hour. If a kid can't pass kindergarten, they have no business in first grade. If they can't pass first grade, they have no business in college. All these horses they're bringing into my clinics because they're the worst of the worst, the nasty of the nasties. And hey, this horse is a bucker. This horse flips over on people. This horse rears. And when I grab it and walk off with it, well, aren't you going to ride it? Why? To show you that you're right, that it bucks? No, they don't pay me to buck. They pay me to fix it. Folks who can't get their horse to do right under saddle, most of them can't lead the horse from one place to another without the horse looking here, dragging them, doing this, that, and the other. Kindergarten, was respect. He stayed out of my bubble. First grade is undivided attention. This is the biggest revolution that we're going to bring to the horse industry, and again, it just comes from coming from a different type of horse. We're going to lunge every horse that we work, but we're going to do it, and we want him to be cold. So we're going to ask him to step off, and we just want him to walk a circle around us and look at us at the same time. This is going to do two things. It's going to let me know that I have his undivided attention, and it's going to let me know that the steering wheel is working. If he can't turn his head left and right, with me touching on his face here, I have no business getting in that saddle. If you don't take anything else away from me talking to you today, I want you to remember this. Control the head, control the horse. If you can't control that head, you're not going to control that horse. The only three things he can do in the saddle is butt, run, and rear. All three things, he has to have his head locked out and centered to do it. So if he has the ability, whether he's uncomfortable or spooky or hot or whatever the excuse is, he takes the steering wheel away from me, he is not a safe horse. There you go. So I want to see that bend. Another thing, you see, I'm looking directly at his eye. I know all the books, they tell you to look at their butt. The problem is, if you look at their butt, you can't tell if they're paying attention to you. When I'm looking right at his eye, he's tempted to look at me. All of you ladies have been out at the mall, eating ice cream, been with your girlfriends, and there's a weirdo 3 tables over looking at you. And what do? You say, hey, Susie, there's a weirdo looking at us behind us, but don't look. What does she do? She looks. Then you look away, then you look back, then you look away. Is he still looking? I don't know, but let's look. Well, it's the same thing. When I ask for this horse's undivided attention, I start, put him right outside of my bubble, I look directly at him. Now, if a kid cries, if a bird pops out of the bush, if for whatever reason he doesn't pay attention, I see it and can correct it as soon as I see it. Remember how I was telling you that I don't want this to be my pet? I want it to be my dog that does obedience? Have you guys seen the best obedience dogs? They look like they've been with the exorcist. Their neck is contorted and they look here and there and they walk like this. They weren't born like that. Puppies don't walk around like that. Okay? That attention muscle was built from a young age. They give them a treat. Hey, look up. Hey, look up. As soon as they can carry a collar, they give them a collar. As soon as they can take a choker, they take a choker. And the second it chases a cat, come here. The second it goes to bark off or chase the leaves, hey. Very quickly, it takes very, very little. The second that one link through that collar goes, the dog looks up. Now you have a dog that can go to the military or go to the police and never takes his eyes off of the handler, no matter what. Even if they're in a war zone, even if they go to a riot, they have that kind of undivided attention. Horses have done amazing things throughout our history. They have rewritten our history. They have charged gunfire. You know, they have overthrown empires. You better believe those riders that did that, the horse wasn't worried about was it too hot or too cold. The horse wasn't worried about if their front left them or didn't. They were charging certain death. Well, the way that you can do that and have a horse so honorable is you have to have their respect and their undivided attention. And if you can't do these two things, then everything else you're going to have a lot of resistance and difficulty to the point that you're going to get frustrated and think that your horse can't. So I ask nicely by pointing, wave it as my warning. Change directions. Again, my goal is to keep him cold. You see, that was my lunging session. He just passed first grade. You see, he's not sweaty, his nostrils aren't flared. There's a reason for that. I truly believe we've been doing it wrong for centuries with horses. If you see a prize fight, is there any boxing fans or UFC fans in the building? No? Oh man. Okay, well I'll tune you in. There we go, one boxing fan up there. Before every fight, you see the cameras in the locker room and they're warming up and they're punching the pads. Why would you waste any energy before a fight? One of the world's most strenuous sports. The answer is simple. If you don't get hot and sweaty, if you don't get some adrenaline going, if somebody slaps you, it would shock you and freeze you up. Then you would get fumbled. Okay? So you get hot and sweaty and you get your lungs working, get your adrenaline up. Now you can go out there in the fight and you can get punched all in the head and just keep going forward like the Terminator. People have been doing that wrong with horses for 1,000 years. They get them hot and sweaty and then try to teach them something. Well, that horse's adrenaline is up. That horse is feeling less. That horse is ready for an argument. I want him to be as cold and sensitive as possible when I try to communicate and teach him something. The next thing I want to see is that he drops his head. Thank you very much. He didn't give us much resistance, so I'll go through how I teach this. I want you to pet his forehead. Put your forearm on his forehead. There's a lump of bone right here on the top of every horse. Grab him by the nose band here and ask him to bring his head down. If he doesn't hold pressure until he drops a centimeter, an inch, anything he gives you, release and pet. There is no excuse for any horse out there to not drop his head below yours. If that horse, for whatever reason, is picking his head up and shaking it or not trying to take the bridle or do anything like that, he can't tell you any clearer, hey, you're not the boss of me. No, I'm not going to give. No, I'm not going to do. I've had horses at clinics that they've never been able to put the bridle on without tying them down to a pole or something, okay? Every horse, no matter how big, how small, horses with ear mites, horses with missing half an ear because they're rescued, got it chopped off somewhere, if they respect you, they will drop their head to you. If they don't respect you. If your vehicle doesn't respect you, you have no business riding. Is everybody with me? If Honda said, no, I'm not going that way today, you wouldn't ride Honda. That's just how it works. People all around the world hop on Cookie. Cookie says, I'm not standing still, I'm not gonna turn, I'm not gonna do this. It's okay, Cookie will take care of me. That's flawed thinking. That's gonna get you in trouble. Once we have that, now we're ready to teach. The first two things were just me establishing my relationship with him understanding, hey, I'm the alpha, you're the beta, I'm the driver, you're the vehicle. The first thing that we're gonna try to teach him is how to freeze up. And I know, again, this is not industry standard. Industry standard says, move the feet, control the horse. Guys, I'm telling you, it's a horse. It has 4 feet, it's going to move. When horses break down, they don't go. When horses break down, they don't whoa. So don't worry, your horse will move. If this horse didn't have a saddle on, I would cinch prep. He has a saddle, so I'm gonna flank him. And if I do a dozen horses in a day at a clinic, I go through these steps with every single horse because that lets me know who I'm riding. Can you imagine riding 300-400 horses a year and trying not to be hurt? The only way you can do that, and all of these are problem horses, the only way you can do that is by asking the horse who they are. So the time that it's taken, most of it is just explanation. Because as far as this horse goes, as soon as he passes the test, I'm moving on to the next thing. Straight to his nose. The reason I bring it to his nose, this is his investigation center. Immediately I'm gonna step to the side, go to his cheek. There you go, his back. And I'm just poking and prodding and touching and see if anything is gonna bother him. And the moment I see that it's not bothering him, I'm done with it. You pay me to make the horse uncomfortable to see who they are. A lot of folks, I was raised in the show ring and our job was to make the horse look good, no matter what. So there would be a lot of classes that you would go out there and you would carry your hands a certain way, you would sit a little sideways, you would hold your breath, you would keep one leg off, whatever it took to make the horse happy. As a horsemanship trainer, I'm doing the exact opposite. I'm trying to fluster the horse or bother the horse so they show me where their resistance is, so it shows me what's going to happen. Oh, he already looks like Super Horse. You ever wonder how trainers train horses before tarps? So we have 3 senses that we're working on when we're desensitizing. Sight, sound, and touch. The reason the tarp is so used and trainers love it so much because it works on sight, sound, and touch. It's big, it's scary, it sounds horrible, and you can touch them with it. And more importantly, horse trainers are broke, so it's cheap. The great thing about this is I do not like when people use controlled environments to make the ideal world. And that's really where a lot of these sensitive horses get into trouble. If we use the round pen or we use the arena like the ideal world, well, guess what? Does anybody here believe we live in an ideal world? No, you're right, shit happens. My grandfather would say. So you step one side out of that arena and then you get into trouble. So I want to use this arena or my round pen or wherever I'm at to make this horse think that the blue goblin is going to kill him, that the flag stick is after him, that the ball is going to get him. And time after time, we make it through together. He comes out unscathed and he realizes that he's not going to get hurt. Very quickly, we're building a bond together where he realizes that even if he's uneasy, even if he's scared, that it's going to be okay, that we're going to make it out together, and I'm going to lead him through it without having any problems. So he's freezing up pretty good now. Remember, this is the same horse that didn't want to stand still earlier. He's frozen. The very next thing. Everybody here knows it's 2019, you want to be educated, so you know that flexing is good. We shake our heads, yes. Flexing is good. Desensitizing is good. Both of these things at a standstill are about as useful as your steering wheel and your brakes in a parked car. They're not very useful at all, okay? You don't get hurt at a standstill unless you've been drinking too much. It happens. A friend of mine, I Googled it. It's okay. Anywho, so as soon as we make sure that the horse will stand still no matter what's going on, we want to desensitize them and flex them in motion. Whenever you do this, be aware. That horse might freeze up and soul up with something scary on his back, but the first step of motion that he takes, he might pop. So we're gonna step him off to the side here. He takes it fine in stride. Now we're gonna go right back to kindergarten. Hey, he has brakes with something scary on his back. That's what we wanna see. Hey, he has a steering wheel, something scary on his back. Not every horse is gonna take it like this. Don't go home and be at ease because you saw one horse do it good. If we did this to 10 horses, 8 out of the 10 are gonna be a little spastic for a moment or two. Do you notice the pattern that we start from his nose every time, come up on his back? Everybody talks about desensitizing the left and right side of the horse, and that's true, they have a left and right side. But they also have above and below. There's a blind spot above them. That's why a lot of people get hurt whenever they stick their hand in their pocket to grab their phone or grab their water bottle. And that's the reason a broke horse would jump over a wet spot in the sand as if it's the Grand Prix jump. Because they don't get a lot of desensitizing here. Don't be afraid to desensitize this, as it's important. All right, you grab a set of reins, take your horse for a spin. So I wouldn't care if this horse is 3 or 30. I wouldn't care if this horse was a pony or a Percheron, an Arabian, a thoroughbred. You tell me that he ate 3 people. These are my tests. This is what you have to pass. If you pass this, we're riding. So some people are set back because we'll do cold starting. And in cold starting, we'll work a horse for 10 minutes, 15 minutes. And hey, it's giving me all the green lights. Why wouldn't I go forward? On the other hand, people will bring me a horse that's been riding for 10 years and it takes me an hour and a half just to get here. Or hey, we need to work it again tomorrow. You have no business riding. And it really offends people because they assume, since the horse has been ridden, that it's safe. And that's not necessarily the case. All right. First thing I want to do, get up here and stand still. Before I even move, I have a pre-flight check. I just want to make sure that they can stand still, for one. Number 2, that the steering wheel works. So we're just going to reach down and say, excuse me. So she told me that with one of the other instructors, this horse had reared up on her. When I hear the word rear, I just hear resistance. Again, the horse can only do 3 things from the saddle. That's buck, run, and rear. All 3 things, they have to be locked out in the center. Rearing is you pulled one way, they pulled another, and they end up in the air. They ended up in the air, and the person starfished. Ha! Starfish means take your hands and legs off of them. Ah! Because they're normal, sane people. And the horse gets a release, and that becomes habit. A lot of horses buck into the canter. Same thing. They're nagging them and nagging them and nagging them at the trot. The canter, the horse throws one crow hop. Ah! They starfish, take their arms and legs off of them, stop asking. The horse gets a relief. Oh, if I don't want to go faster, I don't want you kicking me, I'll just crow hop. All of it comes down to is as simple as pressure and release. Everybody here, whether you are a professional trainer or not, are all horse trainers. If you come into contact with a horse, you're training that horse. Now, whether you're training for good or bad is yet to be seen. Next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna let it walk off, look at me, extend my arms. Oh, all right. Nice Western horse like that. Did you see how he just laid on my hands? Okay, that his rear end didn't come under him. He didn't try to stop. So now, the reason I extend my arms is simple. My hands and wrists compared to his head and neck are minuscule. So if I stop here and he roots out, he takes my hands away from me. Very quickly, he thinks that my hands are movable. I need him to think that these reins are unforgiving, that if they pull, you need to give. Oh, there we go, a lot better. You see, that time he didn't throw his head because he didn't allow me to pressure his face. Whenever I leaned back, he shut down in the back end in his motor and said, okay, I'll stop, I'm sorry. Oh, there we go. See if we get a little back up. Perfect. We'll do one more thing before we get off riding, and it's called a spiral. What we're gonna do is we're gonna turn the horse's head to the inside, and this is great for runaway burro horses, off-track thoroughbreds, super hot horses, sensitive horses. Instead of fighting with them and pulling them back to slow down, we're gonna touch and release to the inside, touch and release to the inside. Then we're gonna stop, just like this. You notice how I stop crooked? It's for a reason. Then I'm gonna ask him to back up. And I ask him to back up just with pressuring the outside hand. Now, a lot of folks are scared to ask a horse that rears to back up, especially with any initiative. Right. And release. Sir, do you have any idea why I back a horse crooked? If a horse is the most powerful in a straight line, everything a horse does, they spend their whole day with their head in the grass getting fatter. Right before they make a move, their head pops up, their nose pops out, and they take off. All their power is in a straight line, right? So if I can take him off center, now I'm putting the ball on my court. You see, where does he want to take his head when I make him uncomfortable? He immediately wants to pull his face back. So what she did is what most of us do. Whenever he didn't like that, got easier with her bridle. Okay? Got out of his mouth, put a nice easy bridle on him. But the bridle was never the problem. The bit is not the issue. Oh, but that bit right there makes my horse uncomfortable. Really? That's why your horse is shaking his head? Yes, because it's uncomfortable with the bit. Okay, let me ask you this. Riddle me this. If I put a spoon in your mouth or the doctor puts that little wood thing in dowel in your mouth and says, cough, okay? Is your reaction because you're uncomfortable? No, you don't want to knock your own teeth out. You're going to sit as quietly, as still as possible. So even if the bridle's uncomfortable, if your hands are still and they respect you, they're going to leave their face very still. So if your horse is shaking its head or resisting, it's for two reasons. Either the horse doesn't respect your hands and your bridle, or two, you're moving your hands. Those are the two options. Because even if they're uncomfortable, there we go. Very nice. Even if they're uncomfortable, if your hands are still and you're doing right by them, well, it's just sitting on their face or laying in their mouth or whatever, depends on whatever you're using. But if you're not using it, then it's not a problem. Does that make sense, guys? All these horses that come and they have shaking heads and they're rooting out and they're doing this, they're not putting more pressure on something that's uncomfortable because they're uncomfortable. They're putting pressure on it because they're trying to find a release. There we go. Notice he's not trying to rip his head away from me now. When I was making him uncomfortable before, he was looking to root out and take his head back to center. Perfect. Now he's soft and easy. Let's move him off. See how he is. All right. So you notice how he picks his head high. When he picks his head up, kind of hauls out back. He kind of has a bit of a rough trot. I imagine if we could drop this guy's head, I don't know, 8 inches, get him close to horizontal, head to butt being level and even, I bet he's going to smooth him out. So I'm looking to drop his head, and the reason for that is when his head drops below his withers, it releases an endorphin that kills adrenaline, that kills tenseness and tightness. This is very important when you're talking about the spooky, sensitive, explosive type horses. Have you noticed what they do in the field? Remember we went over it? Every time a horse explodes in the field and runs off, they pick their head up and their nose up and their tail up and they take off, right? Well, if that's what wild looks like, domesticated is the opposite. Western pleasure horses and cutting horses and reining horses, they don't have their head down just because somebody thought it was a cute idea. No, it's because the lower their head are, the more relaxed the horse is. The more relaxed the horse is, the more under control they are. It's the same thing as the dog that walks the person and the person that walks the dog. The person that walks the dog is here paying attention. The dog that's walking the person is at the end of that leash dragging him, looking for stuff. When he picks his head up and his ears up and he gets tight, he's looking for stuff on the trail or on the arena or wherever he can to get bothered and tense about. So now, to make this as quick of a transition as possible, notice how horrible my hands look. Because if you're using a snaffle or a halter or anything that is direct contact, wherever you put your hands, that's where you're asking for that horse's head to go. There you go. Big release when he drops his head. There we go. Everything that I do in cold starting and problem horses, in the beginning, is super exaggerated. Now, I've won several national championships in the show ring, but when I get there and I do that, then the horse is finished. I can put my hands where they're supposed to go in the box. Up here, look pretty, look nice, make sure my hair's down. Hello. But when I'm working a project horse like this, I'm trying to be as exaggerated as possible. Say, hey buddy, I want your head down here. You see somebody passes by, his head pops right back up. We're saying, hey buddy, the only thing I care at this moment is no matter what speed we're going, that he leaves his head down. That's immediately going to round up his back. That's going to lengthen his stride. And people think that their horse is unathletic because it's rough. Oh, it's rough, it's peg legs. It's amazing that exact same horse, a few days of training, getting it soft and supple in the head, getting it to drop its head, the same horse will be smooth and easy. The same horse will be able to sit and trot. So that's what we're trying to do with this guy. Notice whenever he picks his head up and looks, I pick on him and release. Pick on him. There we go. Now once his head's down, we stop. Back up. There we go. Now look how I'm trying to get control of his head before I start working with the obstacles and start bothering him. Guys, I will tarp and flag and ball and do anything to any horse once I have control of their head. On the ground, if I can't keep them out of my bubble, I have no business trying to spook them or scare them. They will run you over, okay? If I can't turn their head left or right, I have no business trying to spook them because they will either jerk the rope from me, turn their butt around on me, or again, try to run me over. It's the same thing under saddle. On the ground, I make sure I have these things, and now, hey, I'm willing to do anything with you. I'm willing to shoot a gun off you, I'm willing to do whatever. That's how it started from the ground, and the saddle's the same way. I want to make sure that I can disengage your hindquarters. So you see right here, I'm pulling his head to his butt, and you see how he really doesn't want to give? There we go. I'll pull his face back here. I want you to think about something. If you control their head and their butt, where are they going to go with the middle? If you got the front and the back of the vehicle under control, they can't dictate where you go. So just like leading, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to come up here and we're going to play some soccer. What I'm going to do here is sit back, look up. All right, buddy, way to do a good job and not give me anything to teach. I appreciate that. So you know what happened was you knew you were coming here and you wanted to, I don't want him to look too horrible, so I'm going to fix him. And then you fixed him. What I want you to do is this. What I want to take away is this. When it comes to the saddle and spooky horses and getting sensitive, and don't be afraid to push their buttons, okay? The more that horse gives you, the less they'll take away from you. A lot of times, sensitive, spooky horses that don't stand still, we ride them like a ticking time bomb. Like, oh, we don't want to pull on him too hard. You know, we don't want to, he rears so we can't back him up. Okay, oh, he doesn't like it when we go left or right, so we're not going to flex him anymore. And the less that you make that horse give, the more that he takes from you. You get the horses that flip over backwards, and hey, one of the first things I'm doing is, hey, stop. Giving them a good stop and asking them to back up. Because it's our natural instinct, because if you're a sane human being, you don't want to get flipped over on, and we stop doing the things that make them uncomfortable. Guys, it can't be too hard if a horse trainer does it. Okay, horse trainers we're not very smart people. Okay, our job, you bring me a problem horse and I diagnose it, and your horse doesn't like water. Guess what we have to do today? Go to the water. Oh, your horse doesn't like the load. Guess what we have to do today? Load. Oh, he's spooky. Let's spook him. Okay, oh, the horse tries to run away. You have to stop him. The horse has to want to go, go, go. Well, we got to whoa. Basically, your job as a horse trainer is just to do the opposite of whatever bothers the horse. Look for the resistance, and resistance is anything that you want to do that your horse doesn't want to do. So what you want to take away from this is if the horse is spooky or this, that, you have to treat them like the horse you want them to become, not the horse that they are. Right? So I just treat him like a dead broke ranch horse, and he hasn't shown us anything else other than being a dead broke ranch horse. And we've tried to push his buttons and poke him and pull him and prod him and see where he can use some help. From this point, it's not even at a sensitive or spooky or anything. He can use some help with his buttons, giving up those body parts better. And notice how I'll use my reins as the manual override. What I mean by that, when I figured out that these things were the manual override and asking with my legs is the nice way to ask. So I ask with the leg, and if they don't move their butt, I can make it happen with their face. Ask for their shoulder, if that doesn't happen, I can make it happen with their face. If anybody's ever had a difficult time moving your horse's body parts, it's not in the body part that's the problem. It's that your horse is too stiff in the face. If they got softer and easier, you would be able to move those body parts. All right, young lady, would you like to ride your pony? That's okay. You never have to apologize if your horse is too easy. I get a lifetime of the opposite. I'm sorry he tried to kill you. So it's okay. No worries. Here, hop on. Yeah. So very rarely, I'm telling you what, we're taking horses that have hurt 2 or 3 trainers, 4 trainers, like on a daily basis. Out of a dozen horses we have at the ranch for training right now, 6 of them have put people in the hospital. The big secret is to not treat them like that horse, to treat them like the horse you want them to become. A lot of times, a horse like this rears up on somebody because their timing or whatever happened. Then they come and tell you, watch out, sir, he rears up. And you already changed your approach of what you would normally do with a horse just because somebody told you so. That's why I'm telling you guys, assumption is the fatherhood of error. You have to treat the horse like the horse you want it to become. So if I'm starting a colt, I walk around them big and bold and shake tarps and grab stirrup leathers and get on. And all of a sudden they take it, it's no problem. With the same person, the next person comes and they treat that young horse like it's a young horse and the horse acts like a spaz. Okay? So I just want you to be in control and say, hey, you are gonna do this, you are gonna do that. Did you guys notice, and again, it's small things, and you'll see me get very picky about small things so big things don't happen. When he came in, that he was fidgety, that he just couldn't stand still. Look, you have a horse right there that he looks like he's at his favorite speed right now. Okay, he is right here. When he came in, he's dancing around, he's walking all around you. That's so common. When I have problem horses come in, I'm working a horse and I see the next horse about to come in, and they're dragging the person all over the parking lot. And you think, wow, you're getting bucked off of that horse. Why are you riding that horse? If it's dragging you or if it's walking around and you can't get its attention on the ground, if you're picky about the small things, then big things won't happen. I would like you to work on a spiral real quick because it's an amazing exercise that will help you out a lot. So come out here in a circle and you're just gonna start circling to the left, touching, releasing, and like a spiral, it's gonna start off as a circle and get smaller and smaller until you're walking a quiet, tight circle. Yeah, trot is fine. So you're gonna trot it into a walk, right? You trot the circle until it gets so small that he walks. This is great if you have that hot, fiery horse. And remember, the topic of today is hot, fiery horses to calm and quiet. Well, we're doing the best we can with what we got, right? So what she's gonna do is, if she has this horse that's trying to bolt off, that's surgy, that's hot, that's fiery, instead of getting in a tug of war match, my grandfather would say, son, don't get in a pissing match with a skunk, you'll lose. You don't get in a tug of war match with a horse. So many times whenever this off-the-track thoroughbred, this runaway barrel horse, this gaited horse, we pull on them, they pull on us, and it escalates. What we want to make sure that we're doing is not giving them a chance to fight because we don't want to fight with them, we want to educate them. All right, so I want you to keep pulling that left rein until the circle is turning on itself, right? Until it becomes a walk. So only use your left rein and get more and more bend until the circle stops. And whenever it gets that small that he has to walk because it's so small, I would like you to sit down and stop him crooked, locking your left hand into your leg so that his head stays crooked. Stop, perfect. Left hand into your left leg. Now with your right hand, pull and release until he backs up crooked. There you go. Every step he takes, you release. Again. Perfect, perfect. Notice how that horse immediately, when he starts giving, he's breaking from the pole. The pole is the region around the ears. He starts dropping his head and looking for that release. Well, imagine on a hot, sensitive horse, if you had a button, you could say, go to sleep. That's essentially what we're doing, okay? We're getting this horse where we can just pick up the reins and drop him below drop him at the vertical, drop his head down, get him at horizontal. A lot of sensitive hot horses, as soon as something makes them uncomfortable, they pop their head up, they get excited. All right, bring him down here. I want you to do it on this end and do it to the opposite side. You can trot him down. Does that make sense to everybody? We drop the head below the withers, we're releasing an endorphin that kills adrenaline. Imagine if your horse won't walk. You have the I won't walk horse. Imagine if every time you gave him the freedom after backing him up crooked, which is difficult for a horse, you gave him the freedom on a loose rein to walk off. He takes 3 steps of walk and immediately he goes right back into that circle to the other side, and you break him down, back him up, make him think, then you release him again. He's so confused that you have the audacity to release him that he relaxes. So many folks, the horse is going to go faster, so they pull back. Well, as long as that horse is up here and in frame and biting on the bit and pulling on the reins, he can't relax like that. You imagine if somebody was pulling on your face, relax, 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 it's okay, relax. You could not relax like that. Somebody has to just leave you alone. Give them a chance. So the 2 methods that I love to use for getting a horse to walk that will not walk is spiral after spiral. You give 3 or 4 good spirals to a horse that you gave him a complete loose rein. Say, here you go. And you sat back, and if he walked off, he immediately walked off and started turning to one side, backed up, released the reins again. If he walked off on his own to the other side, you're going to give the hottest of hot horses 3 or 4 of these, and all of a sudden, whenever you ask him to go forward, he's going to say, are you sure? Are you sure? You really want me to? Is that good? Is that good? Yeah, that's good. That's good. Relax. Let him go. The other thing we do is this. I get a hot sensitive horse that can't walk, and I get him on the trail. Remember how we fixed that stop early on? His stop is unacceptable. Whatever we have on you, whether it's a halter, a bridle, a bit, shanks, no shanks, if I sit back and say, oh, you better stop like the Grand Canyon's in front of you, I want you to show them a good stop. So gather up on the reins, and you're going to trot off, and then shut them down. Yeah, straight is fine. Nice, that's what I want to see. Did you see how that back end just came right up under that horse? That's the stop we need. And the reason is this. If you can stop your horse can walk. What I mean by that, so many people stop a horse as if they're throwing an anchor out of a ship and dragging it along the ocean floor and waiting. Please stop. Please stop. If at a walk or a trot, it takes you 4 steps to stop your horse, if that horse gets hot, excited, scared, spooked, mad, upset, sees the farm, you will not stop the horse. That's what I'm saying. You gotta be picky about the small things so big things don't happen. All right, so you say, hey, that still doesn't solve my walking problem. Boom, she stops. She drops the reins. She's gonna wait for 1 to 3 signs that any breed is gonna give you. He's either gonna drop his head, take a big exhale, or cock a hip out. When he does any of those 3 signs, with her relaxed body, not picking up, not getting a tight core, she's sitting up there like a sack of potatoes, I just want you to squeeze your legs just enough to get the first step of walk. Release your legs and let them walk off like that. So squeeze your legs and release. There we go. Now she's gonna go down the trail and you're gonna say, well, my horse is only gonna go 2 feet. He's gonna speed up again. He's gonna give her 1 warning with low hands. Hey, I said walk. And if he disregards that, she is gonna stop the bejesus out of him, okay? And when he's scared of the bejesus, then he is going to, every time you pick up the reins, yes ma'am, okay. Sometimes I have like a small trail that we like to walk on for horses that don't walk. And it's like a 20-minute lap if you're walking. Sometimes that lap on day 1 will take me an hour and a half because I am literally not going anywhere until you stand still. And if you dance here, right here. You dance here, right here. You go forward, I back you up, you go backwards, X marks the dot right here. Very quickly, he finds out that this is the only place that I release the reins. Release being the important part. Anybody taking notes? Release. So many people, they want the horse to stand still and they grab up on the reins to hold them still, and that's just adding more fuel to the fire. You have to say, nope, nope. Right here's the only place you're getting a release. As soon as they hit this spot and all 4 feet are standing still, they relax, and then I ask for one step. Hey, the first time we may only make it 10 feet, I give him a warning, he doesn't listen, I stop him. But the next time we're gonna get 25 feet. Time after that, we get 50 yards. Time after that, we get 100 yards. Day 1, that trail ride takes me an hour and a half. The next day, it takes me 45 minutes. Day 3, the 20-minute walking trail ride takes me 20 minutes. And the problem that has been through 3 trainers that nobody could fix, and that people have trying to wear this horse out, okay? Let me just run you, then you're gonna walk. They run the horse for an hour, the horse takes 1 deep breath. Okay, I'm ready to go again. Did nothing, right? The horse is ready to go. Everybody has that hot horse at home that just no amount of running wears them out. That is working with the link between their ears and making them say, hey, you're gonna do, that's all there is to it. And if you do that, you can get everything out of this horse and still not sweating, nostrils small, so everything we're doing, he's picking up. Would you play some soccer for us? Awesome. All right, so when it comes to the sensitive horses and obstacles, I want you to think about this. The 2 biggest problems in horsemanship are that people sit too far forward and grab too much reins. Universally, I go to countries that I don't have a clue what the people are saying, but the translator says they're sitting too far forward and grabbing too much reins. So we're gonna do the opposite of that. That's what good horsemanship is. If this horse gets scared of anything, on a loose rein, he's only going to make 1 or 2 choices. If this horse is going down the trail and gets scared of something in front of him, he's only going to want to make 2 choices. He's either going to run away right or run away left. Wait. My horse bucks, he's special. If your horse bucks because he's scared of something, look at your hands. Do you think if a bear was chasing this horse, do you think he would just stand there in front of the grizzly? I'm a pony. No, he would take off like a banshee. Well, my horse rears. Again, bear scenario, nope, it's gonna take off like a banshee because running is their most natural instinct. So when horses do the opposite, when horses get scared of something and start bucking or start rearing, watch the person's hands. The horse wanted to move off, the horse wanted to get away with what they were afraid of, and the person grabbed them and took that motion away from going somewhere, and now they're bucking, now they're rearing. All right, so if you go towards the water for me, I want her to sit back, look up. Great job, buddy. Thanks for letting me teach. That's awesome. All right, I'm gonna tell you the scenario. This is how it works. Okay? I'm the horse. Horse comes here. The horse looks down. The person gets scared because the horse looks down, so they snatch him in the face. They just said, hey, that's acid water. 2 seconds later, they're kicking the horse to get into the acid water. The horse is saying, are you crazy? It's acid water, we'll die. So he can't go forward because of the acid. He can't go backwards because we're kicking. He can't go to the right because we have tight reins. Well, you see, you can only put so much air into a balloon, and then it's gonna pop. And then that horse jets backwards and flips over, or rears, or starts bucking. Same scenario, imagine I had a real spooky horse. He comes here, okay, I'll give you the perfect example. Here lately, I get a lot of warm bloods, okay, a lot of jumpers who start refusing, okay? They come up to the jump, and then they eject the rider off and say, get out. Okay, they're riding in suppository with stirrups, and it's a big horse, you understand how it feels. So I get this horse and I get them left and right, just what I showed you here. And I say, okay, buddy, I have no business with a $150,000 jumping horse. I'm a redneck from the woods, but I'm gonna fix you. Let's go. I take him down to the pond. Now I know what you're thinking, Indian style, break him in the pond. That's not what I'm talking about. Anywho, I take him to this pond, and from the field away, as soon as they see that pond, they say, sir, I am a distinguished English chap. I shall not be getting in that water. I'll kill you. I say, well, buddy, do what you gotta. I give him that complete loose rein that she has there and spank him on the butt. Well, they say, well, I'm about to eject you like I eject all my little English friends. Takes off running. Well, I don't have him by the bit. I'm not pulling. He's free. So then I reach down, okay, and I give him a rollback. I pull on the left rein, smack him on the butt. He turns around ready to buck or kill me or bite me or whatever. There's nobody there. So he goes forward. Then I grab him by the face, turn him. He keeps looking, but there's nobody to fight because I don't have the reins. I have them on a loose rein. Again, and again, and again, and again. And next thing you know, we're right beside this pond that's like 100 yards long. and he is drowning in mental pressure. He's like, meanwhile, I'm like, left, right, left, and this guy he is wound for sound. Next thing you know, he bails off into the water. Big Grand Prix jump. Oh, just water. Who'd have thunk it? From that day forward, I can take this super sensitive, never been exposed to anything, no horsemanship, only jumping his whole life. I can take him to any obstacle on my course. I can take him to any trail through any swamp. And if he gets scared of something, I'll see him. He's 17 hands tall, his eyes get big. I pick up on one rein. He remembers the pressure that he went through, mental pressure. He goes forward instead of backwards. That's how you get the most sensitive horses to go through anything you want. If we had a competition right now, and we're gonna set the record straight, everybody wants the calm, quiet, dead head of a horse. So great. If I had a competition right now and I said, hey guys, we are gonna have an obedience competition. Everybody here pick a dog, okay? You get 2 days, and at the end of 2 days, whoever has the most trained dog from scratch, you're gonna win $20,000. Nobody will show up with a Basset Hound, okay? Nobody's gonna show up with Beethoven. Nobody's gonna show up with a Bulldog, okay? Everybody's gonna have Border Collies and Blue Heelers and Australian Shepherds and things that are spastic. Why is that? Because the more sensitive the animal is, the easier it's gonna be for learning. In our society, whoever is the most driven, the most hardworking, the most insanely on focus and on point, we write books about them, we make movies about them. Those same qualities in a horse, we condemn them. He's hot, he wants to go. He's always trying to work. It's horrible. God damn, I wish I had a couple employees like that. You know what I mean? It's the same thing. So much of it is just because our education has come from folks who have cold horses. Well, imagine if everything you do in your system works every day, and then you get this one Arabian in and your system doesn't work. It's easy to think, crazy Arabian. Oh, you get a gated horse in, it doesn't work. Around him, he's still not calm. It's easy to think that it doesn't work when that's just not how they're geared. They want to work, the hot sensitive horse wants to work. So you have to work with the link between their ears. You have to go with the grain. You can't wear them out to get what you want, and you have to make your point clear and concise to the horse. Hey, you're gonna get mentally pressured until you do whatever we're asking. As soon as you do that, we're gonna release. No approach and retreat. Approach and retreat is for horses that want to quit. If you do that to Arabian or Paso, you'll desensitize them for 10 years. It's approach and approach. Hey, I'm gonna touch you with this tarp until you stop. If you stop, I'll take it away. Does that make sense? Everybody with me on this? Awesome, how are we doing on time? $15 minutes? Awesome. Can we open it up for Q&A? Does anybody have any question about the hottest, sensitive, fire-breathing dragon of a horse?
Hey guys, thank you so much for watching our video. Make sure to get in the comments below and give us your feedback. Let us know what all problems you're having, if you're having any problems with the steps, if there's more videos or problems that you would like to see. We just want to better help you bond with your horse and help fix some of your equine problems and reach your equine goals.